Good afternoon. My name is Josh Smith. I'm the athletic director here at MICDS. I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you for joining our Q&A with new MICDS head football coach, Dr. Fred Bouchard. Coach Bouchard is joining the MICDS community along with his wife, Michelle. He comes to us with a wealth of football passion and knowledge. He's been a head coach both at the high school and collegiate level for 23 years, while amassing a record of 208 and 71 and winning 5 Missouri State championships along the way. Coach Bouchard, thank you for joining us and spending some time with us today.
You bet. This is exciting.
Coach, let's get started. I mentioned your 5 state championships, and one of the things that I find interesting is that's where our paths first crossed in state championship games. First in the legendary 04 game, which was exciting on our end, where MICDS was able to beat your Harrisonville Wildcats team, but then in 05 and 07 as well, when you exacted some revenge and took both of those on the Harrisonville side. As our position opened up, and you had a chance to get to know us again, what attracted you to the opportunity to become our next head football coach?
Well, first off, it's really it's a pleasure to be here, and it's an absolute honor and privilege to be the head football coach at MICDS. So I'm excited about what the future holds, and really the attraction is really the past and the great history and just the storied tradition that, as I dive in, it goes back even past Ron Holtman and to Pop Hughes. And it's unbelievable. There were, 2 head football coaches over an 80 some odd year span. And it's those kind of consistencies and that kind of foundation. And then when you start scratching a little deeper, you find out what just a great institution it is, and the education that it provides for the students and the families that are there. And it's not very hard to see where it to me, it's one of the most attractive jobs in the entire state of Missouri and maybe even the Midwest.
From coaching against you back in those days, I can tell you I am really excited that you're joining us. Going back to that 04 game and not trying to make you relive the whole thing, Ron Holtman's a legend. That game was the last game of his storied career. Could you give us your impressions of Coach Holtman and that team?
You bet. I'm glad I was able to provide Coach a nice farewell. He earned it, and you all earned it. You did a great job of just staying with the process. But you know what? When I met Coach, so I became a head coach in 1993, and over that 6-year span, I was an assistant in Camdenton and a few other places, and I just started diving into the history of. And at the time, it was Cadasco. It was Country Day football. And then, as a matter of fact, over a period of time in Palmyra, we played John Burroughs School in the state semifinals and lost to them one year there. And that was my first introduction, because I actually got on campus and scouted a game because we anticipated we may play that. But Coach Holtman was probably, for a group of coaches, he kind of liked the Bear Bryant and those legendary coaches that existed out there, the Don Shulas and Tom Landry, like almost unapproachable. So when we're getting ready to play in 04, and I think he called me and said, "Coach, congratulations." And I just thought, man, this guy's just a warm, regular guy, and he's treating me like I'm an equal, and I am so far not an equal. And, he has all this tread on his tires. But I was always also deeply concerned, because there's something about those sagey old veteran coaches that they just have things hidden up their sleeve. I'm like, we got to bring our A game. And what we did is we brought our A half. And then we didn't have a very good second half. And then, and actually that was a lot more credit to you, because we actually did some things and moved the ball. I have reviewed that a few times, as you can imagine. And then the following years, I said, we got to bring our A game, and it's got to be for a game. It can't be for a half. So I do recall that game and the emotions, the roller coaster that you get to a ride in that. And we always talk to our guys about staying above that roller coaster, because that probably is what had you guys win the game. Your guys kind of stayed with the plan and kept chipping away and took advantages of some mistakes, or created some takeaways, and it just it added up to being a legendary game. But I always kind of just shake my head but let me tell you, I learned a lot from that game. And I think some of what I bring as a coach is just the awareness of, if you start down the slippery slope, you better get some ways to stop. So we went back to the table and started working on things so that the next time we played folks like yourself and others, that we would hopefully put a better foot forward. So thanks for bringing that up, Josh. It's always a fun memory.
It was an unintentional gift, but it really, as far as memorable games, that's the most exciting game I've been a part of. And remembering Coach Holtman, his legacies is always fun. Going back to present day now, you've had the chance to meet our kids and talk to them some in person, but with certain circumstances, you've been forced to kind of that online world. How has getting to know our players gone for you, and what are your impressions of them so far?
Well, fortunately, I was able to get down there like 3 times and meet him on just kind of 3 different occasions through part of it in the interview process to meet a couple groups of them. And then we had a couple dates set out where we were able to get down and get in front of them. And I've really probably been visiting with the seniors because I'm a believer that seniors really are they're the keepers of the team that year. You recall great teams from those years. And I'm sure you do it with your 04 team and your 11 team and the 18 team. And those seniors that were key cogs that really were carrying the banner. So I've been meeting with seniors, and what a great senior class. And I hear that from a number of coaches, like, we've had this group of seniors and they've kind of been yearning for this. So that's real exciting. And they're hardworking young men. They send me videos when I say, hey, send me some stuff on workout. I see some stuff on Twitter. I gave them a couple charges. First off, I said, go recruit individuals that would, in the student body, that would be great teammates, because we always want great teammates. And if they're great football players, that's even better. But if they're just great teammates, because of the things that we do, just educationally, you want to bring some people along for the journey. It's fun, and they'll never regret playing their senior year of football. And so many of them have gone out, and even some of the ones that aren't comfortable doing that have said, hey, some of you guys, let's get back in this thing. So we will really have a big senior class, and we're excited. But I told them, don't just stop there. Make sure you kind of trickle down into that junior, sophomore, and the freshman, and 7th and 8th grade, and even 6th grade. And I think we're all recruiters, right? We're all recruiters as students. And if they happen to be great athletes and football players, that's even good. But we're all recruiters of those students. So I've had a great impression. They're driven. I think there's a great leadership capacity in them, and they really do have a purpose of just having an outstanding senior year and leading that.
With a personal tie to this senior class, I can tell you they're all really excited about getting the chance to play for you, and they're looking forward to getting you actually on campus and being in front of you and getting to know you better.
Zoom meetings are a little hard. There's sometimes, just I got a little fired up the other day just kind of talking about stories of great players and just defining moments of teams when they said, hey, let's draw the line in the sand. And this group will buy into that. They're going to be great. And then, you know what, I don't mean to discount, we got younger. We got a guy who's going to be a 3-year starter as a junior at quarterback, and Reagan, and you had a couple freshmen, and Winston and Steven played a bunch last year. And then some young linemen like Nate. And I'm just excited about a whole group of youngsters that are also able to blend in that group. And that's part of the future. There's one thing about having a really good team, but the cool part is developing a program and it being really consistent through the years.
You're kind of touching on this with the way you're answering the last question, but you're the new guy in the MICDS room. From a football standpoint, what are your expectations of your players and your coaching staff?
You know what? I'm really big on process. I tell them we won't probably spend a lot of time talking about winning, because what you find is that becomes this focus in here, and you forget about all the things around it that surround winning. So if we practice the right kind of habits, the discipline and the playing together and just playing with great effort, the commitment, over the summertime, so that, when we hit the ground in August, we're super prepared. Those are the kind of things that would be the expectations. And there's also coaches, we met with the coaches, all of them. We spent more time than they wish on a coach's manual where we kind of outline duties and expectations. But part of it is this overall plan of, we want to make sure that the expectations are clear and that we can carry out those duties. And so with the young players or the young men, at the end of the day, that we have one really important job as educators, and that's to love our players. As coaches, we just need to love and pour into them and just have a high regard for what we're supposed to be doing. And then the players have one job, and that's to love one another, just be in it together and to share that experience and kind of sell out for one another for this common goal. So that's kind of what we're gonna try to do. And we think extracurricular activities, they're part of what educationally fill the gap. That's where you learn the most about teamwork and the most about chemistry and camaraderie, and maybe in some cases the most about investment and that time and effort. And we think we can provide just some of those soft skills that are so important that everybody's looking for when our guys enter the workforce.
Nice. I've been here a while, and I've been here a while because this place is special. One of the things I think that makes MICDS special is we've got junior kindergartners through seniors on our campus. As you look at the landscape and know that you're not just coming into a high school, but coming into a place that has access to kids that are 4 years old through 18, how do you use that as a head coach? How do you build a program with what MICDS has to offer on campus?
Well, I think we start sending out onesies in maternity wards with our logo stuff, and we identify if they're all there. Let's recruit young and make sure that we raise them up in this MICDS culture and the way and initially it's the academic way, and it's the way of learning and the rigor that's involved there. And then, of course, then they jump into the spirit side of things. But I think there's a number of things. Just, I think everybody on campus is a recruiter. Everybody's a representative on campus of MICDS of some fashion. And it's, I think, important that we express that it's not just the role of the head football coach to go out and try to recruit really great student athletes that are also football players. I should be recruiting, part of recruiting just great students and families to MICDS, and the younger, even the better. But it's also the role of all the assistant coaches that are either on staff, and there's a number are, but even the ones that are off, to be great ambassadors. Our players are some of our best recruiters. Our families are our best recruiters. And then the alumni that talk about their experience, and they're going to be key cogs in saying, hey, if you're looking at a school and these are the private schools that are the best in the Midwest, then we should be part of that conversation. We should capitalize on that. So that would be my intent. And we'll have camps and clinics and try to connect with youth coaches around the city. But I think it's important that when we all play that little part, there'll be one connection that really ends up being the vital part of recruiting that family. And in some ways it recruits itself. So it's not like you're having to sell them something, because what they get is unbelievable. They get a lifetime education and these connections that they'll cherish their entire life.
From a football standpoint, again, one of the things that you've seen, with football and the way offenses have gone lately is the flashiness of them. This question's come up. I don't want to call it a rumor, but it's a little bit of a rumor, and I'm not calling you old, but the rumor is that you have an old school mentality. And I've heard from, I think, Andrew Brummy, who was on that 04 team, has been one of the many voices that are curious. What kind of offense do you plan on bringing to us?
Well, I'd want to tell Andrew that we're going to run the offense you guys ran in the second half in 04, because that was a productive offense that did a lot of really good things there. So, Andrew, I remember him as the quarterback, just had an outstanding game. You know what? It evolved. So, we were a split back veer team in the 90s. And then in the early 2000s, we still had that as a staple, but that's when we started getting the shotgun things. And probably by the time you played us in 07, and when we had a dude at quarterback, Sean was an unbelievable player, that we were running a lot more than that. I mean, we were running a lot of shotgun stuff, and we were throwing the ball. And I think that year, Sean, if I'm not mistaken, I think he ran for over 2,000 and threw for over 2,000. And I think he had 29 rushing touchdowns and 28 passing touchdowns. So the Terrell Pryor that same year had 30 and 30, and Sean was there right next to that. So we really believe in being multiple. And then in my Staley teams, the Staley team that won state in in 2011. Trent Hosick was a Division I quarterback. We had a Division I running back. And so we did capitalize on running, but we also were a really good passing team that ran up some pretty good numbers in that regard too. So we're gonna be multiple. We know that sometime in football in the Midwest, you just can't vacate your running game, because you're going to get this unbelievable windstorm or snowstorm or rainstorm. And if you are one-dimensional, it really puts you at a disadvantage. And unfortunately, like that one night, you may be the better team, but you don't bring the kind of flexibility to allow you to compete at your highest level that one night. So we still need to be able to run downhill on people and be a physical football team. The other part of that, and I've seen this consistently across the board in my coaching, is if you can't run the ball very well, that means in practice you're not exposing that to your defense. And defensively, you eventually have to go beat a run team. So we think there's a balance in there that we want to strike. And some of it is the skill set. It appears like the skill players that we have at MICDS in the junior and senior class, there's a number of people that can play on that perimeter, and we'll want to be able to put that speed in space and take advantage of that, both in the running game, but also really in the passing game. So anyway, that's the long answer to a short question that I'm excited about what we'll do. And I'm not giving away any trade secrets. I don't know if any SLU people are on, so we're going to be careful about saying that. But we want them to get ready for the kitchen sink, all right, the whole shooting match.
The Staley Championship was over Kirkwood and Matt Irvin, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. That was that was good. Matt,
you need to publicly apologize to Matt Irvin for torturing his career, I think.
He won it the next year, though. In 2012, they turned it around and they didn't beat us. They beat Fort Osage, who we lost to in the quarters and in a really close game. But Matt did a great job there at MICDS, and he's actually somebody I called about this job. And I will say, as a former coach, he's like, "Oh, Fred, you got to take that, man. Those are awesome kids, and that's an awesome place." So Matt was singing the praises of MICDS.
That's good to hear. Here's more on the lighter side. You spent a lot of time on the western side of the state. So you're coming to St. Louis. I know this area is very passionate about their sports franchises. Who do you cheer for? And you think you'll be rooting for one of the St. Louis teams?
Well, you know what? I've been on the west side for a while. Yeah, I was. So the Royals were bad when I first went there in 01. I left the Northeast Missouri and moved over there. But then I got to see that 2014 and 15 run that the Royals made, and so we tracked them pretty good. But back in the day, I was kind of a Cardinal guy because I was in Northeast Missouri. So I still follow them, and it, the American League had the Royals and the National League. I hope I can live in both categories. I will be cheering the Chiefs. I'm a season ticket holder, been for a little bit, and for the most part, my kids get to enjoy those. My sons that live over in Kansas City, but it's a good time to be a Chiefs fan right now. And because St. Louis doesn't have a team, you know what? That's pretty easy. And I cheer the Blues because, frankly, there's nobody else to cheer on the hockey side of things. So grew up in Colorado, so I'm also a Bronco fan. And so I'm a Chief and a Bronco fan. And people are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I organize it in my head. I've got it. I hope I've got it figured out. But so I raised a couple of my sons as Bronco fans, and they bust my chops all the time about when did I turn? So anyway, it's good stuff.
I think
it's always fun.
Relieved knowing that you're for the Cardinals and the Blues. So that's a plus.
There you are.
All right, we're through some of the scripted ones. I'm going to go on to the questions that we've had sent in. The first one, Coach, is from a parent who says, we have an upcoming freshman with the goal of playing varsity at a young age. Do you have a feel from the state yet on what the summer might look like for an upcoming freshman?
You know what? That's a great question, and I'm going to bounce some of this back to you. We're kind of planning that. Let's see what happens, and we hope that we can flatten the curve, and that the state says, hey, you can go out and do that now. I think research is showing some different things with COVID and young people, but we also know that those young people, they'll go interact with others, medically fragile, and some people are a little older. So it's about just being good to our people who are the most vulnerable at this time. So I think when the state says, hey, you're free to go, I'm sorry, got to call in on that one. When you're free to go, then we're going to hit the ground running. I used to think June seemed like a long ways out, but anymore, there's probably some impact that this schedule will have with June. And but we are scheduled to start open the weight room starting June 1st with coaches in there from at 7 a.m. and then another session at 8:30 that we were giving our players 2 options. And then we had a camp scheduled for June 8th, but I'm not sure if again that goes. So it may push into July, and we have 2 camps in July, one July 13th, a week of July 13th and the week of July 20th. And unfortunately, if everything's pushed to July, then we got to work with some basketball, and I know Coach K will want to work with lacrosse, and there'll be other people that will want to camp. So we'll work with those people. I love multiple sport athletes, and I really want them to feel like they can do a lot of other sports and they can participate in other things. And then we as coaches have to make sure we create an environment and setting and a culture that allows that and encourages that. So we'll keep talking with our coaches about how we share our people so they can have this really rich education through that process.
Right. To quickly piggyback on that, the short answer is we just don't know. Until we have guidelines on when we can interact with kids again, we just don't know what the summer looks like. And I know you and the rest of our coaches, they're making plans so that as soon as we get clearance of it, it's safe to have kids and start working with kids athletically. We're gonna go. So our coaches are chomping at the bit. They want kids on campus, and as soon as we're told we can do that safely, our plan is to do so.
You bet. And I'll address the freshman question. We've even at Staley, which is a Class 5 school, we probably had 5 or 6 freshmen that started over that course of 8 years. Morgan Stewart went to Mizzou. One of my young son, Faisal, my youngest son, he played Northwest Missouri State. He was kind of an outlet, could run really well when he was younger. And Eli Ross was a linebacker. So we had a number of kids, and Michael Keck at Harrisonville started as a freshman. So we never minded if they can compete at that level and they help our team get better, we're going to utilize their skill set. And sometimes it's on special teams. Sometimes it's in a specific skill set. And the other thing is I honestly have always wanted to try to play as many players as possible. Part of that's for depth. Part of there's a whole method to the madness kind of thing about making sure you're engaging a lot of kids in that. But anyway, so I don't ever rule out the opportunity of freshmen being able to get on the field and contribute on a varsity game day.
Okay. Here's one from one of our alums. How do we make MICDS a destination for student athletes who are passionate about football?
Well, I think we have to replicate that passion, right? We have to be super excited about football and what we do, and then give up the platform about showing them within this structure, this is how we can help you grow as a football player. And if you choose to go on and you want to play beyond high school, make sure we're making connections for them to be able to go represent well beyond MICDS, because a lot of kids, that's their desire. They want to go play. They don't want this. They don't want it to end. They love it that much. So I think we play on that, and we grab our kids that approach it that way, and we really just try to make sure that that attitude is infectious. And I think when you make it important and you talk about that in a passionate way, that there's a spillover benefit that kids will warm up to that. I really do believe kids love people who get excited about their profession and approach it with that kind of just kind of excitement about every day. Even the everyday mundane things like going to practice is just for me, it's as much fun. Like the worst day in football is better than almost any day that I sit behind my current desk. And I love what I do. I mean, there's currently things, but I will tell you, nothing beats being out there and working with young people and a group of coaches to get young people better.
Awesome. And I've only been working with you for a short time, but passion is definitely something that you have a ton of. So we'll try to see what that looks like on the field up close. Another question that came in is how important is the middle school football program, and how do you continue to promote that to help grow the program as a whole?
You bet. Well, I think I will be teaching some classes down in the middle school. So I'm going to connect with young people and talk about this with them. And I know we have a few units that we're able to blend in that and to identify those. But I would say even go younger than that. You know, we're trying to find ways, how do we build something that is MICDS based in the younger, in the third, fourth, whether it's in a flag or whether it's in the flex football stuff, which is kind of a hybrid between flag and between full pads, and how do we incorporate that so those kids can have some of those experiences and just begin to connect with the varsity coaches that are there. But I got to think that I would say that it appears to me, if you are trying to recruit at just the ninth grade level, it would be, there's some challenges that do that, but if you can grab them a little bit earlier and you still try to recruit those great students at the ninth grade, but you're also hitting those other benchmarks through earlier, then you're going to be better off. And so we would like to install much of what we're doing at the high school level, the upper level, at what they're doing in the middle school. And that's why those middle school coaches have been part of our Zoom conversations and our coaches meetings.
To give you a chance to self-promote, assuming we do have restrictions lifted, do you have plans for a youth or a mini camp for outside folks to come in and see our campus?
You bet. Yeah, actually, it's on the calendar. We're going to, I've assigned a couple folks already. Hey, start drumming that word up if there's this opportunity. We'd like to do something in July in the evening, and we'd like to do a clinic with youth coaches. Sometimes they're just looking for an opportunity to learn, and who is this new guy and what will they be teaching, and then provide that opportunity for maybe some of their players to be able to come and enjoy a camp at different age groups and just kind of have that experience and begin to make a personal connection. I think at the end of the day, those are the important things. It'll be about relationships and people in those youth organizations. They're sometimes some of the most influential people in the lives of those youngsters. And if you build good rapport with them, then they consider your program as a viable option where, kids, if they have options, they may consider those things.
Well, that'd be great. Coach, last question. It's a hard one.
Yep.
What are you most looking forward to with your time coming here to us?
That actually is probably the hardest one.
I know we got about
short answer. About a minute, right?
Yeah.
I just think with working with high-end young people, and when I say high-end, just driven young people who already academically have laid this foundation. Like, I don't think you can do the academic work at MICDS unless you're a pretty driven student in some capacity. And now we want to tap into that drive and apply it in some other areas. And so many have done it already. But I can tell you that that's tough to beat. Like, it's tough to beat with young people that are driven, who want to do awesome things in the like right now, but they also want to do awesome things in their future. So that's I look forward to that. I just look forward to embracing that culture with young people, and then certainly with the faculty and staff and the leadership and the families at MICDS. We look forward to working with y'all. It'll be fun.
Well, Coach Bouchard, I really want to thank you for joining us today and sharing some of your thoughts and your time. We really appreciate it.
You betcha. Look forward to getting down there.
There you go. I'd also like to thank everyone for signing on today and watching. I know I speak on behalf of our entire coaching community that we can't wait to get kids back on campus and to start working with them. So hopefully we'll see everybody really soon. Go Rams.